Good morning. Welcome to Monday, May 19th.
Good
What I
morning.
was I was asked to
Good morning.
announce what the date was on these videos, so we need to timestamp them. So, but how was everybody's weekend?
Fabulous.
Did you ride horses? Yeah.
We did
Did you-
clearing on a trail on Saturday that was just spectacular. So then we rode it on Sunday. Oh, it was wonderful. Wonderful.
Nice.
Wow.
Did you see journalism?
Journalism. Yeah, he passed me.
No, did you see him in the Preakness?
Oh, I don't watch that stuff.
Preakness? Did anybody see it here? No,
I saw it.
it was pretty incredible.
It was, yeah.
Did
It
he?
was interesting. I was watching the down cards and I was watching all that long shots win on those down cards. It was amazing.
I haven't. Oh, those are other races.
Yeah, those are the races before
Okay.
down on the card. Yeah. So, okay. Well, let's get rolling. Not everyone's had a weekend. Well, we talk about unknown market conditions, and then I talk about weekend risk. And last weekend, or last week, we had Sunday where we had the China deal come out and everything gapped up. And then after market close on Friday, Moody's came out and downgraded the US, which is okay. They're the last of the three agencies to do it. It took them a while to do that. So we're going to see today
Great.
the
Hold on.
effect
Hey.
of
Go ahead.
What are you doing? Great.
Okay.
Come on.
There we go. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We're going to see the effect of that, and we'll see if it lasts or, it's not how the market opens, how it ends. But, had you held positions over the weekend, you may be down today, but it's not like last week where, the Dow went up 1,000 points. We're only going down about, 0.6 on the Dow right now, and that's pre-market. The thing that's interesting is the U.S. Treasury 10-year went up. I mean, it went up to 4.56%, and that's usually a pretty big deal in markets. So we'll have to keep an eye on that also today. But it may look ominous, but it's not that bad per se so far. When you look at it, markets go up, markets go down. Take a look at a chart. When we look at the SPY, we're above the 200, we're above the 9. I put this line in, this is where we're going to open today. So, we're no different opening than where we were for the last 3 days. Okay. We've come back inside the Bollinger, and you're going to have days like this, and Bollinger's moving up on the top. I can't, so there we go. So sideways, actually. You do have the resistance right above it, but again, I'm starting to see some more of the mag 7s, and we'll go through those hitting resistance and bouncing back down. And the Qs, you can see the Qs have come up, and this is because of those mag 7s. For 3 days we've hit resistance. We're going to open down a little today. Starting to see a rollover. The Bollinger coming back up, converging a little bit. Oscillators are okay, but kind of flattening out a little bit, and that's because of this green line up here on the Qs. The Dow. The Dow closed above the 200. It looks like we're going to open just slightly above the 200. I don't really like this Bollinger coming down, and we have one coming up, so we're converging a bit. I got sell orders right above that, above the upper Bollinger band. Again, 3 or 4 days, right along the 50 and sell order resistance right here. So, and we'll see what happens today with this news. Gold's going to go up today, of course. Gold's going to open right above resistance right here. We'll see if it can hold. It's going to hold here. We closed down right at the Bollinger Band, the lower in the 50. So it's coming back up a bit, but again, it's just kind of been spotty and all over the place. Bitcoin had a run up yesterday. Okay, it actually crossed over resistance. We kind of talked about it a little bit on the Discord yesterday afternoon for those that were on. It came up just under the Bollinger Band. We're starting to roll a little bit. This was our line of resistance. It's about 105,600. And again, we come back down. We're back under the 9. But we've kind of had this kind of sideways pattern. And you can see it's almost straight sideways when you put aggression band on there. But it's still within, support and resistance, kind of going in a sideways convergence band. We'll see what happens, but it's not really selling off that much like, the market per se, but we'll see what happens in Bitcoin. And then of course, MicroStrategy, we've been watching it fight the intermediate resistance level. It's come down a little bit from last week. It was kind of up here a little bit more, but you can see the converging Bollinger Bands showing the volatility is kind of sliding out of that a little bit. And we're going to just see sideways patterns if this keep converging. And again, MACD is kind of down. Got the stochastic down a little. So what we're seeing in Bitcoin is kind of a sideways pattern still. We'll see where it goes. NVIDIA. Here's where we start seeing, coming up close to the intermediate resistance level. We've come back inside as of yesterday. We're going to open right here today. So heading back down to where we were about 4 days ago on the open, a little bit of a roll on the MACD. So we're seeing some slowdown in the Mag 7, which slows down the S&P, which slows down the Qs. It's amazing. Here's Meta. Meta came up at our resistance 1, 2, 3 days in a row. Came down on Friday, and here's where we're going to open just above the 9 today. And again, we're seeing a little bit of rolling on the MACD in Meta. So this is the reason we're starting to see the indexes slow down. These guys make up so much of the Qs in the S&P. Tesla. I mean, you start looking at these charts, same 3 days on the intermediate resistance level. Again, right here is where we're going to open. So we're coming back down to about where we whipped down to a couple of days ago. I mean, we're still above the 9, we're still above the 50, but it's hard to get past this resistance level. And unless things change in the market today for some news that comes out, we might end up hitting our head on that resistance again. Okay, Amazon. Amazon didn't even key it up to their resistance level yet. Kind of went into the Bollinger Band, came back down. Now we're going to open up. We're going to have a golden cross of the 9 over the 200, but we're going to open up right above that. And again, a little bit of roll in the MACD, but we're still above the 200 on Amazon, and the 9's rolling up. But we'll see what happens today. This is pretty. We'll see if it opens and goes down, or if it opens and can gain some momentum and go back up. See what kind of day we're going to have. Microsoft. Seeing Microsoft came up, hit resistance 3 days in a row. It's turning to be into a pattern, and we're going to open up right below resistance again, but kind of in this sideways pattern on Microsoft, and we're really getting closer to a negative crossover on the MACD on Microsoft. So again, slowing down on the Mag 7. This is one of you guys' favorite. Palantir's come up. It's going to open right above the 9. It's kind of hit a plateau here. You're seeing the Bollinger Band kind of roll over. Again, we're seeing this kind of consolidation. Bollinger Band are coming together, converging, with this sideways movement. But we're going to open a little lower today from the close. And we're seeing really, really close MACDs. But other than that, we're pretty good on the other oscillators. But I don't see it popping that much, not today, at least. And then Netflix. About 20 minutes before we came on, I had all these charts set up, and then my system went blank, and I had to try to refill all this up. Again, Netflix, Netflix was really rolling back when everyone was talking about recession. Then all of a sudden we have China deals and everything, and it went sideways, kind of bumped up a little bit, but we're going to close down. Look at, again, converging Bollinger Band showing variations coming out of volatility is coming out of the market a little bit, causing us to go sideways. We're either going to pop up or down. Again, we're kind of in a waiting period now again with this new news that came out. I'm going to show you a couple, what do you do? We've on our under 200 chart,
U.S. stock markets, including the New York Stock Exchange, NYSE, and NASDAQ, were closed on April 18, 2020.
Sorry.
That's okay. So like we've had a few, I'm just gonna go over a few. So here's one that, you could still be in, its cores, okay? And we put it on the list right here on this line and had a nice run, and it's just, following the Bollinger Band. And today we're gonna open up a little bit lower, but you see you come in, if you had like what I do on weekend risk, you might have got out on Friday, and you would have got out, somewhere in this range here, and you would have been up about $1.46 on cores or KRs or CRZ. Today we're going to come back down, but we're still within. Here's the support, here's your resistance, here's your sells. So it's not really that bad when you think about what it's going to open at if you're in an open position. Okay, so if you're in an open position, you see it's going to open here. Make your stops wherever you want it. Here's your cost basis. Maybe you want to put it right around support at the 9. You can see it comes down a little bit, and if it comes down and it really dumps, you're out. You still have a profit. If it doesn't come down that far, recovers, goes back up, you're still in. Okay. So, don't panic on all these. IONQ, this was on our watch list. Okay, IONQ, we got in, this has been on for a while. We're just rolling between support and resistance. We're going to open up down here a little bit. Okay, we've been riding the upper Bollinger Band. You've got a lot of, gains here. You could put a stop in either at the 20 and the 9 or the 20, depending on what you want to risk. If it's going to come, it's going to open around here. So again, that's how you protect your gains on these positions. If you're in these positions. Let me go let's look at some that we put on the list. And this is on the 200 list this week. So I'm looking at this. This just came on the list, and it's going to open down. So you're above the 200. It's going to open above the 200. You're still on a nice trend up. Some people would look at this, depending on your trading plan, and say, this may be an opportunity to pop in this if I believe, and get a little bit better price and then have it continue to go up. The oscillators still look good, but some people, if you have a nice chart, gives you an opportunity on a day like this to actually get in at a better price than where it closed, or it could come down and it's going to hit the 200, and that's where your resistance is going to be. So your downside would be, to the 200 and then the 9. Your upsides, it comes back up to the Bollinger Band and keeps riding that up. So that's a decision you have to make on your own, but I look at the market opens, and market opens are going to be, pretty volatile this morning. It's a Friday, it's a Monday. A lot of orders out there are going to have to be filled. People are going to panic a little bit, in this downgrade, which, we've already been downgraded. So I don't consider it to be that big of a deal. And you might be able to get a good play on this. So, that's how I would use, the list. It doesn't match my trading plan and what's my risk tolerance. But again, that's not too bad of a discount on Burlington, and that's under our 200. No, that's on our watch list. Okay, so GPC was on the watch list too. Or it's one I'll be watching. See, GPC closed above the 200 on full candle on Friday. Now it's going to open, but it's going to open above the 200. So you got to end back inside the Bollinger Band, which is okay, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to be inside. Your downside is if you go down and you get under the 200 and you come back down to the 9. Okay. The upside is you keep going and following this Bollinger Band up. So again, you got to have your trading plan on what you think is going to happen, but the news comes in, the news comes out, markets go up, markets go down. That's why we have trading plans, and that's why we use stop losses, to limit our losses or protect our gains. That's what I got for my 15 minutes today, and we can have more questions later. Trent?
Trent, I think you're muted.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Trent.
Trent, I think you.
Wow. What? Thank you. All right. Sorry about that. So we talk about market structure over the last couple months, and how options affect how these mechanical or systematic positioning funds and ETFs position for markets. And what I wanted to point out today was every month there is a option expiration. So you can buy an option that's 30 days out. So you could buy the June 2025 options that will expire in, I believe, that right around the 20th, 25th of June. And so if you're positioning your fund or your ETF or your portfolio based on what those options do, you restructure every time they expire. And Friday, May 16th, was a expiration represented about 1.7 trillion in nominal value of the SPX. That's a sizable amount of money. I don't know if anybody has that in their checking account, but when you see that kind of level expire, you have a repositioning of these mechanical and volatility driven funds. And we've seen what those effects are. So what I've put together here is the February, March, April, and May expirations. And what they can tell us is when we were at the peak of the market back in February, and on the 21st, Friday the 21st, we had expiration. You see a major candle down here. This was a 1.71% move down for that Friday. And then subsequently, all the way into March expiration, the markets came off their highs and fell. And in March, we had a Liberation Day was in March. And so we accelerated that market downward move into March expiration. We had a couple days up, and then we had another move back down, and we continued that slide down into April option expiration. Now, Friday option expiration in April, or was on Thursday, because Good Friday markets weren't open. So on Monday, the April 21st, markets gapped down a bit. And then they started making a move higher, basically a 27-day move higher up until this Friday, May option expiration. And I look at this move, this was a sizable move. This was if you think about it, it was like a V move. Well, markets get exhausted after a while. We saw that in the volume. We saw that in the complacency of the crypto market, Bitcoin, and some of the other cryptos, but also in the top 7 or so of the S&P 500. We saw that in Berkshire. And Berkshire's had a hell of a run this year, and yet it sort of came off after their big meeting, annual meeting, and announcement of Warren Buffett going to be late to work a couple of days a week now at the end of the year. And so what we should anticipate or expect is some sort of pullback in restructuring of these funds and restructuring of the mechanical structure of how markets work. And we should anticipate some level of a pullback. And you think about it, this is a hell of a run, right? I think we would all agree to that. At some point, we need to retrace some of this. Now, this yellow line, that's my intermediate trend line. That represents about a 38% move from Monday the 21st to here on May 9th. And this line really represents, if I use the Fibonacci retracement here, this represents about a 38% move from bottom to that point. A 50% or a retracement, a 38% retracement from top to this level. And a 50% retracement is pretty, I think, standard when you use Fibonacci retracement rules. And that puts you around 5,536 on the S&P 500. So I think we should anticipate a move down. Now, bring in account this news out of Moody's. Now, take into account that who was it? S&P 500 or S&P Standard & Poor's did this back in 2011 during the Obama administration. I believe that was a 20% retracement. off the highs of that point. Fitch, I think it was 2023, correct me if I'm wrong on that. I don't remember how much of a retracement that was, but I
7%,
wouldn't, how much?
7%.
7%. Okay. So in relation to what has happened since February 21st and February option expiration and the major drawdown and then this rebound from April option expiration to where we are as of Friday, and now this news of Moody's, and you got to think about it. I mean, they're sort of late to the party when it comes to this rating change. But I think this is one of those excuses to possibly have a retracement, retrace some of the gains from April OPEX, and reposition some of these funds to take profits and reposition to more reasonable valuations. And I think that puts us in that intermediate trend line area, or 38%, which is right around, what was it, 55,637, or as a 50% retracement would be 5,036. So I think we should anticipate that. So if you have profits from the April OPEX to May's OPEX, you may want to do some risk management, take a little off the table, go out to dinner or something like that with a couple of the profits you've made, but anticipate an opportunity to possibly buy back in at a lower rate and ride into the summer. And I referenced the US-China delay on tariff negotiations for 90 days. Well, it was about 2 weeks ago now, or a weekend ago, right? I think it was. And so I think we should anticipate we could see continued bullishness or optimism on markets, but I do expect a retracement. So take that into account. And what I think what blows me away is how systematic this is, how mechanical this is, and how you can use these big moves in options and using gamma exposure, positive or negative. Gamma exposure is very positive, so that means volatility is going to be a bit subdued. It is up today. If we're looking at volatility today, it's up. What is that? Well, volatility is up 12.29. The VIX is today pre-market, or $2.12 since the close on Friday. We're back in the chop bucket, so we should anticipate some chop in the market. So risk manage, have a risk management policy in place, have a short and long-term investment process. But I am very optimistic as we go into the next, say, 80 or so days of the year, or mid-July, August, until we get back to the table with China. And so that's what I'm seeing at this point. And what's fascinating to me is you could take the whole Moody's headline news out of it, and chances are this is what is going to mechanically happen in the market, is a pullback of some sort. So that's what I got. Let's open it up to the floor and questions, ideas, charts, that kind of thing.
Bob's back. Hey, happy birthday, Bob. How was Vegas? Oh, he's on mute. You're on mute.
Vegas was very nice, very relaxing.
Awesome.
But, I went there with money and I came back with it, so I did okay.
That's a win.
Nice.
You did better than going to Disneyland.
Yeah,
No, Disney
right?
just takes it all from you.
That's right.
But yeah, thank you very much. It was
good. Yeah, I'm
it
glad
was
you had a good time.
much needed time off.
That's
So are
awesome.
you
I'm
now,
glad you did that.
was this your 50th birthday?
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I started drawing the line.
Thank you
that
very
I'm
much
just-
for that. That was
Yeah,
that was 66.
Oh wow, okay. So I've drawn the line at I'm no older than 50 anymore. So
Okay.
Me too.
yeah,
Things
Yeah,
change
we're
when
all-
you hit 60.
Tell me about
Things
that.
change.
Yeah.
No, they don't.
Those that are there understand it.
Absolutely.
So from an economic travel standpoint, Bob, what did you see when it came to? Was it heavily populated, or was it a mild, or what did you see?
Yeah, I would say mild. It was very
Yeah.
mild. Yeah, tourism is down. It was very easy um, to get into anything and go anywhere. There's not much traffic there. I don't know if it's true, but they say that travel is down to Vegas 8% right now. That's a big
Wow.
number.
Did
That's
you
a
say
big
8
number.
or 80?
8, not 80, 8.
Okay,
8%, which is a big number
yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was nice. We stayed at the Venetian, so it was
It's a nice place.
yeah, yeah, it was good.
Good.
Yeah.
You know, I
Yeah, it's
Okay.
interesting. I wonder if what that will translate into second quarter hospitality and travel company earnings.
yeah, I
It'll be telling.
the question is, what is their you know, their reporting, you know, what's that? I'm still on vacation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Well,
I,
you think about the treasuries, the 10-year going up for, as high as it did today. And that's
yeah,
not helping out. That's not helping out anyone's credit,
no, no.
or housing.
It's there's a lot of unrest, right? People don't have any direction. In businesses, no direction. Nobody knows where we're going. There's no, finalized decisions. So businesses don't like that.
I saw Bostic came out today. He was on CNBC this morning. He's only predicting one rate lowering once this year, which is interesting to me. But considering that their inflation reports are coming out looking good, and their jobs reports come out looking good, you would think that they would be lowering rates like the rest of the world, but they're not.
Well, I believe that companies are laying off. I don't
I do
believe
too.
everybody I speak to is telling me they're tightening the belt because they have no direction, right? So everybody's skeptical about where we're going. So I don't
Yeah. Well, I was reading a little bit this morning about the Japanese 40-year bond yield is, I believe, at all like 30 or 40-year high of 3.46%. And what does that mean when it comes to trade and the relationship to the United States? And where is that money going? Because yields go up, people are selling out of that bond. We're seeing that in the 30-year. I'll just show my chart real quick of this to give you a visual. But where's the 30-year? The 30-year right now is at 5.2%. So I mean, if you're looking for something, to pay you out a sizable yield that has some level of credibility.
Yeah,
That's
but you got to add two
it's
points to that for a mortgage. That's 7% mortgage plus.
right. Well, look at the effects I'm seeing. The effects of that on prices around here are coming off they're where they have been in the last month. So I guess I don't really understand too deeply of how that Japanese 40-year yield affects us, but from what I interpreted, it's sort of that affects the carry trade. I wish Mike was on here, but he could probably explain it better.
To me, what it does is it keeps Japanese money in the yen instead of moving it into the US dollar because they have more of a yield. They haven't had a yield, so they've always been buying US dollars.
Uh-huh.
And so that could have an effect on ours. I'll be interesting to see what the short-term treasuries do tomorrow if they pop up. They've been around 4, point, was it 2%, 4.3% lately. So it'll be
Yeah.
interesting to see if that pops those up too.
Yeah. But here's the US dollar to Japanese yen ratio, and it's down 42 basis points. So yeah, I can see. So it's moving out of the Japanese 40 and going in back into their yen is how to interpret that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Huh.
mean the money's not flowing into the dollar as much, because, and part of it's, the devaluing of the dollar, and part of it's this trade war, and part of it's just a lot of stuff going on. And when we keep devaluing our dollar, and everyone's seen that chart where the dollar is, at $1 and now it's worth, 23 cents in terms, how we've devalued it. And, when we went off the gold standard, the ability to accept the dollar as a dollar is your ability to accept it. It's not backed by
Yeah.
anything. The full faith and trust of the U.S. government. But we'll see. I think that's why you see gold. That's why you see Bitcoin. That's why you see other asset classes, especially commodities, do well when the dollar is not doing well.
Yeah. Well, this is the dollar here in the left side. So that's down 62 basis points today. And gold futures are up 82 basis points. And the
course.
10-year is up. What's that?
I said, of course,
Yeah. So that's
the
that
bonds
opposite
going up.
correlation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, and you can, it's just interesting how it all correlates together and all. So what somebody had a question about a chart there. Mark.
I don't see one.
NBIS.
Oh, okay. Here it is.
I have a question.
NBIS.
Did anybody get in on was it Horizon? Was it Horizon? The insurance company that fell apart?
No, what was
You mean UNH?
Yeah.
Oh,
hmm.
United Health.
Lot
got in
insider
on that.
biter.
I
Huh?
got in on that when it was
Good for
down at
you.
the bottom.
You did?
Look at NBIS. This one's had quite a run. It took the China bump, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 back inside the Bollinger Band, and now we're right up against resistance at 38.68. So I'd expect to see some slowing down around that area unless some news comes out. I don't know what it's going to open at NBIS today. Not that that means anything, but you definitely have a pretty harsh line of resistance right above where price is today. But yeah, you're pulling back inside the Bollinger. You're probably going to go sideways a little, if not down today on this one. That great time to come in on this one. Basically would have been back in this area when you get above the 9, and then let it roll. A lot of times, it's hard to buy outside the Bollinger Band. Most traders don't, but we had some extraordinary market conditions last week with that China trade deal, and everyone thought everything was back and rosy with the trade deal, and and then we have a downgrade. We really haven't done anything with the trade deal as of yet. We haven't resolved anything except for an agreement with the UK at this point. So again, news is driving a lot of what we're seeing. UNH, United Health earnings killed them. Came down, boom, boom, boom. Then we had news last week. They hit intermediate support on a wick, basically. Came back up. I saw in the chat, someone bought a lot of shares. It's an insider. We're still right on side the Bollinger Band, so I'd expect that to pull in. Then we got some sell orders about 311.92, and we're way under the 9, way under the 20. They're shooting down.
Pre-market, it's almost up $14.
Okay, so
Oh, wow.
14,291, 391, 395. Or not, 291, so it'd be 311, 315, 316. So yeah, I'll be up a little bit above sellers. We'll see if it gets higher than that. Hold on, the cat's out. He's driving me nuts. There you go.
Cat's out of the bag.
No, he's going to be out of my office is what he's going to be. There he goes. All right. So you got a ways to go, with United Health. But again, like we said last week, I keep it on the list because anything that dies like this and hits support, you're going to start seeing some strength come back in. But it's not to where it meets my guidelines where it makes me happy that I'm going to follow or chase this anywhere at this point. Right now, it's just too negative looking on the chart for me for United Health. Others with a higher level of risk may want to jump in and try to ride it up. I don't see it. What else we got? Hey,
Eli
Patrick.
Lilly.
CRDO.
Yeah, there's been a trade deal signed here with the EU today, and it's more cosmetic than substance. Like the other two deals with America and with India, there were two very thin gruel type of agreements. I don't think any of them are of any significance, or they're not substantial anyway.
I think I'm not going to use substantial, but I think it's more positive than negative. You know, at least someone's talking. You know, probably.
Yeah, well, constructively, it's good, and there will be an alignment, a realignment because of Donald Trump's international tariffs. I think Europe will coalesce and will become more united as a result of this uncertainty, and I think the UK is going in that direction.
Patrick, do you see a tightening more on a positive side of the relationship between you all and the EU going forward because of what is happening with the United States and all that?
Europe feels abandoned by the United States, and so they're having to gather themselves together, and they're going to have to increase their spending on defense possibly up to 5%, because Putin is a warmonger, and he's going to just advance through Europe like Hitler did. So I think Europe is very concerned, and it's getting its act together slowly.
I think that was the intent by Trump, because in his view.
No, but the trouble with Trump is he's too pro-Russian. He's never admitted that the invasion of Ukraine was Russia's fault. They invaded a sovereign territory, and why should they be rewarded with territory? You know, it flies in the face of democracy, really.
Isn't that crazy?
I have a different view on that and the history between the United States and Europe, and I won't get into it, but yeah, when you say we abandon Europe, I don't think we abandon Europe. I think that the American people in the financial situation we're in makes us be more prudent in where we spend our money and what we get out of that as a return. And so I think in the administration, the American people's thought is that Europe should be putting in at least a contribution to defend themselves and not rely on the U.S. to do it for them.
Oh yeah,
I second that.
Yeah, I think we accept all that, but Donald Trump's cack-handedness in giving away all the concessions to Putin, even before they sit down to negotiate, that's not the art of a deal. I mean, that's a steal of a deal, really.
Well, how do you feel about Obama just letting Crimea go?
Well, I mean, I'm equally annoyed with him, but I don't think Trump really. I think it's out of his league. I don't think he can handle it. I mean, the man can hardly have any critical thought himself.
Well, that's one opinion, but I think after the last administration we had, we're seeing a much more critical thought than we did on the last one.
We didn't have a brain the last.
I think the early dementia in Donald Trump, because as a physician, I look at him.
I think we all have early dementia at this point.
We should talk.
You know what? Yeah, I think I have early dementia, Patrick. I have to talk to you offline, and you can give me a diagnosis.
What about the CRRDO, Mark? What's your take?
Well, that's kind of interesting. You know, this is one where we had a little bit of we didn't really have, the gap too much. Because it was already following the upper Bollinger. It got a little bit ahead of itself for 3 days, came back in. You're still seeing it within, you've got oscillators are still pretty good. Your support is at the 9. So, that's where, your risk is. Your reward is going up to the Bollinger Band and also to where you see sells at 63.58. So, this is a better looking chart than a lot of them that had that big gap that might be filled,
Mm-hmm.
Take a look at Eli Lilly for bottom feeder, sort of like UNH.
Yeah, it's actually come back, and the 9 has come down. It's above the 9 and the intermediate support level, and that's on a distribution day too. So that was pretty good. It came up on a distribution day. $1.50 it paid out. So normally your share price would automatically go down $1.50, but it had enough strength Friday to come back. I still don't see the MACD cross. I would want to wait to see that get above this 9, have this 9 curl, and we get that constant going up. But this is a good start. Okay. Is it something I would put my money in right now? Not yet. It doesn't, I don't have this confirmation down here.
I'm not a Lily fan.
I would figured you'd have been a Lily fan and a
No.
Daisy fan too.
No, I'm not a fan. I think that these drugs they're putting everybody on, my own opinion, I think these drugs are going to bring some large lawsuits down the road. And maybe it's good investment now, but I think that you're going to get a surprise one day.
I think the more you
I'm talking
put
about the weight loss
artificial.
drug.
Oh, you're worried about there's gonna be side
Ozempic and all
effects?
that.
Side effects?
Yeah, because it's not prejudice the drug, right? So it attacks the fat and attacks, I mean, you would know better, Patrick. It attacks the muscle too. So not only you lose fat, but you lose muscle. And the heart is a muscle, right? And several other parts. I don't know that my
Oh,
research
can't hear you,
tells me
Patrick.
my research tells me down the road that there's going to be issues. They just haven't come out yet. It's too soon.
I'd love to hear Patrick's take on it as being a physician.
You're
Can't
on
hear you,
mute.
Patrick, you're on mute. Yeah. Patrick, you're on mute. He's talking though.
Yeah, he is talking. Your mute's
You're
on,
on mute.
Patrick.
Mute.
Mute.
The mute.
Poor
He's
Patrick.
he's gonna have to give us commentary all over again. Patrick, can you hear us? Can you hear us? You're on mute.
Someone's got to write mute on a big piece of paper.
Yeah, you're on mute, Patrick.
Mute.
I don't think he got it.
Nope.
Oh, you can't unmute?
I don't know if you can see.
A little closer.
He's looking now.
Little closer. There you go. Stay right there.
Your ears, David. Point to your ears. Yeah.
Well, I love the sign. If you
Patrick,
can't read, that's not good.
It's a
You're
Hey,
European
Keith's got
David.
a problem. I'm trying to.
he's got an issue.
The drug company cut him off, so he couldn't.
Yeah,
Oh,
I think so. Yeah, I think he did get cut off. Yeah.
Drug company may cut this channel.
You know,
Better not.
Bob, addressing that, I know people who have been on that or who are on it. For some, it's used for other
Reason.
ways to reset. I don't know much about women's biological setups, but it resets that system a bit. I think the risk is the people I see who have been on it and who stay on it, who've achieved that sort of that weight loss that we're looking for are still on. And I think that's
you have
where
to stay on it.
but I will say the people that I've seen who've been on it for say just short period of times, 3 to 6 months, had their, I guess, a reset of their system and have been off it, have kept it off. But it means you don't go to McDonald's. It doesn't mean you don't go to the gym and work out. I think that's the biggest problem with it is some of the people I've seen who have on it don't have any sort of exercise or nutrition routine.
They go back to their old ways.
That's right. And I think that's the danger of it.
Oh, Patrick's back.
For sure.
When you go on this drug, it's for life because the weight will just
Bingo.
will pile on again. So you have to stay on it for life.
Yeah.
So
But there are
what's your feedback on this drug attacking the muscle at the same time?
I've received no information on attacking muscle. I haven't come across that.
Okay.
I mean, most of the trials that have been done are very positive, and people do lose a huge amount of weight after 6 months, and it stays off provided you can comply with the treatment.
I mean, I think it's good for people that are obese and they have a weight issue, a substantial weight issue. I think it's great, but actors are now taking it, right, to control their weight.
Can we work something out, Patrick, so I can get a prescription?
I'll
Whatever,
tell you what,
dude.
if you want to buy it cheaply, you can buy it through India. It's only 30% of the cost. If you can import it from India if you want to, and you'll save 70% of the costs.
I want
Okay.
to
Yeah, but
say
don't
that
we get
the
nailed with
Morning
the
Edge,
tariff
the
on
Morning
that?
Edge does not endorse any drugs whatsoever or the sale of such through India at this point.
Well, I think it's
And
I think it's like $1,500 a month, $1,600 a month in the US. Where it's like in India, like $88.
That's right.
it's in it, that wasn't that always the case? Like people went to Mexico for HIV drugs and stuff during the AIDS epidemic. I think they went to Mexico to pick up their stuff because it was just so much cheaper than buying it here in the US. I think that's with anything. But
It also reduces your risk of stroke and cardiovascular disease. So it has multiple benefits for patients.
Anyone buy
Well, that's a
Moderna?
plus.
Here's
What's going
Moderna.
on
No.
with that? Oh, and since we're on the drug thing, Trump's cuts is going to affect, or it is affecting the gene editors stocks. Those companies are losing their funding. Just so everybody knows, if you're in them, that may become an issue.
NVIDIA came out this morning. There was some news on it saying that there are plans to sell their technology to others that will tie chips together in order to speed up the chip-to-chip communication needed to build out and deploy artificial intelligence. Does this put NVIDIA at a risk or a power position in the chip environment? Any thoughts?
Is that the deal with Taiwan Semi? Because I heard that they made a deal too with Taiwan Semi.
This one, it just came out a couple hours ago on Unusual Whales. I don't know exactly, but I guess they announced that the selling of their technology, I guess the chip-to-chip communication is between these different chips, and right now they're not communicating, which is slowing down this process of AI development. But if they're selling their technology, does that work against them in the future in some way, or is this just another income source for them?
I think it's just another stream.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you see on the chat, there's some people getting back to Ozempic. Brad said, as a prescription on Medicare, I'm paying $47 a month, $625 for the first month. And David said his wife's on Medicare, pays $354 a month for Manjaro. And then Margaret says you can easily get it online through eVisit.
Wow. Good information.
I think it's like
Thank you guys
anything,
for putting that on there.
any kind of med you're on. I mean, I'm on thyroid and cholesterol and blood pressure meds, and I'm like, I would love to get off all of it. But I think it's that drastic lifestyle change you got to make and stick to, that most of us can't, we struggle to do. But it also, I look at it and I go, that's going to screw me up at some point. I've got to figure out how to sidestep
I
it,
got the same problem.
Exercise.
I'm on Coors Light and graham crackers.
Yeah,
I got an issue.
I actually think isn't that a therapy drug?
I think so. I don't know.
A mental health. Anybody got anything else they want to hit upon? Any companies or anything?
Kind of like feel like a deer in the headlights with this choppiness coming with the Moody's downgrade.
Yeah, it's not
But
as
yeah.
it's not as big as last week, with the upside. It's just a half a point to a point, so we'll see. Here's a couple we've had these on the watch list for a week or two. Viking Holdings has been a nice run up on the upper and came back down. Here's where they're going to open today, right about where they closed.
You're not showing. You're not showing.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thanks for letting me know. This we've had, on for a couple of weeks. Viking Holdings. I have no clue what they do, but they've had a nice
Viking
run.
Cruising. They're cruisers. They're
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's come up And you've got, the upper Bollinger Band on the upside, and you got some sells at 50.08, and it's at 48.23, and that looks like about where it's opening. We had IO and Q. This one's been on for a while.
Yeah, we
Again,
covered
just
that.
following between all, the Bollinger Band and the 9. JP Morgan we've had on. JP Morgan just following the uppers. It come back in like we're seeing a lot of them, but everything looks good. If you were in something like this and you got in around, where we put it on the list or there, you've got a lot of gains. And so, this is where you put your limits or your stops. Maybe you want to put it right around the 9 where you're saying support, or a little below it in case it comes down, hits and goes up. Then you save this much of your gain. If you don't want that, you're a little more greedy and you want to get out, you can just get out now or take half a position out, and you save your gain. And that's the whole game of swing trading is, bunts, singles, and doubles. We're not swinging for the fence, but you still, have potential room up on this. And this has been on for a while. And then we looked at Parker Hannifin, where we put in and it kind of went up and sideways, but still inside the Bollinger Band. And you've got obviously resistance up at 697. You're at 680 right now. But if you had gotten in at this point, and then this is just structural and how you do it, you would put in a short, maybe at the or not a short, a stop, at the next level of support, which is the 9 above or a little below, and save your profit. Otherwise, you let it run, and that's how these things can run for, a week to a couple of weeks if you want to.
I'm in GE, been in there for a week. Then I'm in MOS.
Yeah, we had those on the list.
You're not on.
I know, I'm trying to get it on. With GE, just be aware we're starting to roll a little on the Bollinger, and again, we don't have a upper resistance level other than sell orders. So at any time we could see that come on, and that'd be a good time to consider maybe taking some profits. But yeah, it's a nice run on GE. We had MOS.
Hey, Mark, have you heard anything on the trades that Trump's been making overseas?
No.
Have you heard anything? Any companies that are coming up of all these trades that Trump made overseas?
Like,
you mean the deals? The deals you mean?
Yeah, with all the deals, is there any startup companies that are going to take some of that profit?
Well, you look at Boeing, and Boeing's had a nice run, and he's been selling a lot of Boeing planes to people, especially in the Middle East. But again, when I look at it technically, not fundamentally, it's been hitting resistance for 3 days, even during his Middle East trip. But fundamentally, I don't follow it. I know Esther follows Boeing a little more than I do, so she's been a Boeing fan. Anyone else have anything else you think that he? I mean, didn't he have NVIDIA over there, and didn't he have who do you have? He had a lot of people over there. I don't know for sure.
They've released information on the new 777X, which is going to be the largest aircraft ever built. It's coming out soon.
Wow.
Who are they building it for?
As for the Middle East, that's their main clients.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
So, I'm in the market for a new car, and just so you know, dealers are going with sticker plus.
I thought he was going to say he's in the market for a new jet.
That's what I thought he was going to say.
Now I'm coming to use Mark's jet.
No, that's because I use your boat all the time.
Sticker plus, no discounts.
And so what does that mean?
Wow.
What does that mean? It means full sticker plus what they add.
Okay.
On top. So in other words, if the car is 150,000, if they add 10 grand to it for their pocket, it's 160,000.
Yeah.
So they're not in a desperate situation at this point.
Yeah. They're marking them up because the limitation of the car is coming in.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so it sounds like a 180.
What are you buying? A Rolls?
No. No, I'm looking at a Land Rover right now.
I'd look someplace else.
Here's
BMW is
Ford.
doing the same thing. I've been there.
Here's Ford.
Huh.
Let's see what GM's doing. GM above the 200.
I wonder if the American car companies are doing the same thing with the
Toyota's
markup.
always all over.
Yeah.
I don't buy American cars, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, you could have bought a Ferrari. Look at this. This has been nice. Race right up to resistance. So that was a nice run.
What's happening with Bitcoin? Where are we with Bitcoin?
Bitcoin had a nice weekend. Then it came back.
MicroStrategy.
See, Bitcoin is in this channel between support
Oh, look at
and
that.
resistance. But look, it's sideways. It
It's
went up.
sideways.
It went up to 107, 137, but it's staying within its channel even today. And if you go back, you can see where the channels are. Move this over. And why? We keep coming up this 105.5 situation, and if we can break that, I mean, Bitcoin is interesting because it's a series of ups, consolidations, ups, consolidations, ups, consolidations.
That's normal trend for Bitcoin.
And so if it can get above, I believe, Bob, and get above the high, the all-time high, which is 109 and change, we could see a lot higher.
Go higher, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious because, you know, the Trump family is getting a lot of criticism for their investments into their own coins, Liberty something, the company, their own coin. And I'm really surprised at this point that Bitcoin hasn't taken off. But there's been a lot of criticism, but they're making a lot of money. So why isn't Bitcoin flying high?
Well, I don't think it's not flying high. I just think
well, I think it's been here. It's been here for a while.
A lot of the buying you see on Bitcoin is not on the exchanges. It's it's over the counter. So you don't get to see. I mean, when Michael Saylor is buying $500 million a week and there's only 21 million of them, you would think you would see it, but they don't buy on the exchanges. So what we are seeing on the exchanges is the amount of Bitcoin available in the open market.
Buying it through the back door?
Just the open market. Yeah. Like you have Bitcoin, Bob, and you contact Michael Saylor, and I'm going to sell you $1 million of my Bitcoin. Says,
yeah,
okay.
But it's still got to go through the chain, right?
It goes through that, but it doesn't go through the exchange. It's not on the exchange. So you can take your Bitcoin off the exchange. Well, you do.
I do.
Take it off the exchange.
I don't keep it on. I don't keep it on there.
Right. So I still, I hold Bitcoin. I buy Bitcoin. I invest in Bitcoin and other Bitcoin companies. I just think it's I think it's an opportunity, and this is just my opinion, for generational wealth. And I've already done well.
I'm not disagreeing.
I've done well with it.
What I'm driving at is we get to this level and then it just stalls. It just, if you look back, you'll see it again. It stalls right here. Well,
that's why we call it resistance.
I understand that word.
Yeah.
You'll probably get a little bit this week.
We need that baby to jump.
But I can say the same thing about S&P. Gets to this level and it stalls.
I think a lot of, if you look at this, and historically, if you look at, the availability of liquidity, the Fed is, I believe, on a, backdoor buying of U.S. Treasuries, creating, quantitative easing in the system right now over the last couple of weeks. So the lack of liquidity in the system is stalling these things out to go higher. Once we see an increase in liquidity or a lowering of Fed funds rates, we could see an expansion and then a break through these resistance levels that we're seeing on just really everything.
Unfortunately, Bostic said they're only going to have one this year, lowering of rates.
Yeah, well, and I think that is telling in what we should expect. We've talked about stagflation, for a while. We could be in that period of time right now. One last, we got boot. Somebody asked about boot, BOOT, and then we'll wrap it up there.
We had boot on the list.
All right, I'm signing off, guys. I gotta get
Uh,
work. I gotta catch up on a lot of things.
All right.
That's
have
what
a good-
happens when you
We'll
play.
see you
see you
tomorrow.
Good day.
Have a great day.
You too.
You too.
Okay, well, I see a lot of resistance above boot.
You're not showing your chart.
Oh, sorry. I started my day out wrong, so everything's been off. I see a lot of resistance above. We're pulling in. Here's your big earnings. It's going to have to get past resistance before I see anything take off on boot, and then you've got right above that, you've got sell orders. So there's two levels of linebackers ready to stop your price action. You had earnings. Here's your earnings. Here's your earnings bump, sideways back in, resistance up above. I mean, would you buy here? I wouldn't buy here, not with this up here. I mean, here's my support down here. This is my risk, and this is my reward. That's the way I look at it. That's the way my trading plan's set up. I had put this on back here. This is when I put it on the list. And when it went up, I think Margaret was in it, and this was the China bump, and it got up to resistance, I think. At that point, it was here. And she got out and made 16%. And that's what swing trading is about. You try to find the swings. For me, that's just me. This is too high. I don't like buying on the high side. I want to buy on the low side for me. What else we got?
I think we're gonna wrap it up there, Mark.
Well, I want to
We'll
give
come
Paul
back.
a chance. Paul, you said you think it's going up. What's your thoughts on that?
He's
Is Paul
gone.
still? No, he left. He
Yeah.
maybe didn't like my commentary. I don't know. But that's the way I see it. I don't want to buy high. I want to buy as I'm seeing that swing up. That's what I call it, swing trading. And when it gets up to the top, it starts hitting my resistance levels. I want to get out. I want to get out. So, okay. Anything else? Anyone
All right.
else while we're sitting here? 25 on. Okay. Oops, I didn't hear anything. Did someone say something?
No, I think background noise. All right, we'll wrap it up
All right.
there.
Perfect.
You all
Thanks a
have
lot.
a good day. Stay safe, risk manage,
Thanks,
and we'll
Mark.
see you tomorrow.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming every morning. It really makes it worth my time and effort. I'm really happy you guys are doing well. And if you're not, come talk to me on my office or in the Platinum chat, and we'll see what we can do. If you have questions, do that too.
All righty. Guys,
All right,
have a good
guys.
day.
Patrick, you take care of those Europeans for us.
All right. Live
All right,
Thanks a
balance.
lot.
Yeah, we'll see you
See
guys.
ya.